Hey, Michelle. Hello. How you doing?
Oh, I'm great. How are you doing today?
Very well. So we
Oh,
have Michelle Pierce here. Michelle, you're a fantastic interior designer. Your company is Creative Edge Interiors, and I want my Hillside people to just know from an interior design perspective, what does that mean on a hillside property? I guess
interior
first,
design. Oh, go ahead.
first, thank you very much
Oh,
for
no,
doing
thank
it.
you for having me. This is awesome. I'm excited.
And second, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the company? So I said Creative Edge Interiors. What's kind of the mission? What are the goals? And just give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, you bet. So we are an interior design firm. We are in the luxury sector for both residential and boutique commercial. We have really developed a really unique program for our clients. So everything that we do is very high touch, very highly personalized. And we basically have taken years and years of client feedback and just created this entire experience for them. Doing anything in a custom home, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of decisions and choices and timelines and things like that. So our whole focus is what can we do to actually infuse this process with a bunch of joy and be able to celebrate all these milestones with you and alleviate that pressure as much behind the scenes as possible so that this becomes a journey of excitement and anticipation and just realizing that we're going to be teaming with incredible artisans, architects, builders, all of these dream team individuals to just bring their dreams to life. And it's just truly an honor. We love what we do. We're super passionate about it. And so, yeah, this is who we are as Creative Edge.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the name. So Creative Edge. So what does that mean? How does that differentiate you in any way? Talk to us a little bit about that.
It's a great question. It's interesting. I think every single one of us, as we go into entrepreneurship and we are naming our firm and what is our differentiating factors and all those kinds of things. My father was a builder. I actually came into this industry many, many years ago, working for him. Actually, I came out of corporate. So my brain is already geared towards numbers and spreadsheets. I really geek out over that and strategy and all kinds of things like that, but I've always been a creative my whole life. So I have a super hybrid brain. And that's really one of the biggest things that I think because my background is so strong in project management. While we are creative, we also need this whole other side of things in order for projects to run successfully. And so when you're able to talk to someone that's easily able to navigate the world of builders or the world of architects, the world of clients, and all of the things in between, and stay with numbers and stay organized, it's just a completely different kind of beast. And we love it that way. Just we really find that a lot of the approach we take is always setting our team up for success. And our team can be our internal team members, it's our clients, and it's everyone that we're working with, everyone that we're linking arms with to make these projects successful. The more we can do for one another and really kind of make that transition smooth and keep that communication alive, just the better our projects go. And it's an approach that I've heard many, many times from people throughout the years that is unlike anything they've ever experienced. And that's an honor to us because we worked really hard and we continue to always refine that. And just to make sure that everything we're doing, we're looking at it through the eyes of our clients and those that we are choosing to serve. So we love that. That is truly our creative edge.
Nice. I love it. Sounds like you kind of have the perfect background combined with the creativity to kind of make this thing great. And talking
Yes.
about kind of the client experience too, sounds like you kind of got that down. Tell us maybe a little bit, how would that be different between a regular client and maybe a hillside client? I know
Yeah.
there's definitely similarities, but what about a hillside project can get you going, get your team going, and then kind of get the client also
Yeah.
an awesome project?
That's such a great question. I think one of the biggest things for us is that almost every single person on my team, we are all outdoors people anyway. So we already are all out in nature all the time. And you always derive so much inspiration from your travels and hiking and whatever all you're doing. So anytime we're finding that there's a hillside property, first and foremost, we want to find out like what inspired them the most about that. Maybe there was something really sentimental. Maybe it goes back to something from their childhood. Maybe it's just the most epic view that they've ever seen. And whatever that is, we definitely want to start with that because we're going to draw so much inspiration, not only from their why behind what it is they're doing, but also then what's happening with the topography and the environment that we're working with, because we're going to take inspiration from that for our color palettes, for all of our textures. We're going to be maximizing every single view. We all love sunsets. We all love sunrise. And so we want to make sure that everything we do is just giving them the best viewpoints possible so that at every moment and every opportunity throughout their home, they're able to just truly enjoy and capitalize on the beauty of building Hillside.
Nice. I love it. I could feel it, when you talk about it. And it's part of my passion too, designing the building from the outside and then having someone like you come in and just really curate those experiences on the inside. So much of it's coming from the outside. And I could feel it coming out of you, and I really appreciate that about you. So
Thank you. I love that. Well, and also it's so good because you create the perfect um foundation, really. Everything that we're doing is derived and inspired by what it is you're gifting us, right? And that's how we look at it. Like we can't be successful without what you're doing, and you're going to give us this amazing structure, and then we're just going to start to really just kind of refine it and sweeten it up and do all the pretty things that really just bring all the feels in. Everything needs to feel good. So anytime someone's coming over or spending time or someone's coming home, however they want that to feel, it's the combination of what you've done and what we've done kind of married together that creates something that no one's ever seen before and no one else will ever get because it's specific for our client. So it's a really fun process.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love it. And then when we're clicking, you and I are clicking, and the client is also clicking, then we
Yeah,
get the builder and everyone kind of on that same page. It's really something special.
for sure. Magic, magic.
It is magic.
Yes.
So you talked to us a little bit about your corporate background and how you run your business. Oh, excuse me. We have a little child over here. All right, yeah. So you talked about kind of your corporate background and how you've defined your business, or had that inform how you run your business. And I know you and we talk a lot about business books that we've read.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us your number one so far in 2024 business book?
That is a great question. I am super geeky about that kind of stuff. I listen to audiobooks incessantly now. It's a newer habit that I started a couple of years ago, and it just really has legitimately changed my life. And I'm so thankful for that. I would say that I have two favorites, top two favorites that I think were probably from a business perspective. One of them, most especially, was specific for business, and that was a Dan Martell book. I dig that guy so much. It's called Buy Back Your Time. And it's really the premise is for me as a business owner, I do not choose to be a solopreneur. I believe that it's too easy to become that bottleneck. And I really want to have a team so that we each have a superpower that we're bringing. We can't every single one of us be awesome at every single thing, no matter how much we want to be. So having a team in place is really, really critical. And I think it also is great for the client because no matter what, they're just being catered to all the time. So Buy Back Your Time is really talking about how to move forward and structure your goals and reach your goals and actually tap into your team and make sure that you're delegating appropriately and that you're setting your team up for success so that they can go out and then be successful, which basically is a win for everyone. That one is so top. I honestly keep going back because there's nuggets that you just keep getting where then you continue to grow your firm. And then you're like, oh yeah, I remember him talking about that. And so you can deep dive right back in and be like, oh yeah, I haven't started this one yet, or I haven't implemented this idea. It's just made such a difference for our team. I honestly also have my new hires listen to that often. So as part of their onboarding, depending on what their role is for our firm, make sure that they understand it because that also helps us begin to learn how to think like each other, how to anticipate each other's needs, how to understand how the other person learns and grows so that I know as the leader how to support them. And then my other book was honestly probably my biggest life-changing book, like as a general whole. And that is great for both the personal and the business side of things. And that one is The Gap in the Gain. These two gentlemen, literally my top favorite authors of all time, and it's Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And it's really all about what are you choosing to focus on. Life is such a mental game anyways, and it's real easy to get defeated or frustrated or lost in whatever is happening in life, getting all lifey on us. So allowing ourselves to feel whatever it is at the moment and then just flipping the switch and figuring out how to not dwell in that space and how to get yourself back in a good positive mindset. And so you can also measure how much growth and how far you've really come, because that's another trap for so many of us business owners is we're always looking forward to all these goals that we're trying to accomplish, but we forget to turn around and be like, oh my gosh, look how far we've come. We've done it, you guys. Like, we're already doing it. Let's just keep going and keep getting better. So we definitely say two of my top favorites. And I'm really curious what your top favorite was, because we are book swappers and I love sharing that with you. So tell me about yours and what your why is behind your favorite book.
Well, I'll second The Gap in the Gain. And I think it's mostly because I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to kind of hit me the way that it did because I didn't really know what the book was about before I started reading it. Because I'd
Mhm.
read some other Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy books. And then you're right, it is one of these things like you, as a business owner or as you progress, you do look to the future and you're measuring your success against some sort of impossible ideal.
Mhm.
And if you never take the time to look backwards or to focus on where you've come from, then you'll just get lost in just not being content or not being happy. Doesn't mean you don't have aspirations, all that stuff. You still have your goals, but to get your mind straight so that you could accomplish those goals, maybe focus a little bit. Hey, where were you a year ago? Where were you 2 years ago? Where were
Mhm.
you last week? Where were you yesterday? What are the things? And I know he documents, your daily wins, those kind of things, and just little implementation items that help you focus on, getting your mind right so that you can accomplish those kind of goals.
Yeah.
Um, another, so let me think about that. So, like I told you the other day, I kind of took a break from books. So it's been like 2 months because I was overloaded.
Yeah.
Um, but I read a lot of good ones this year. The other one I liked from them a lot was the principle or that 10x is easier than 2x.
Love that one.
So that one was
Yeah.
that one was really good because
Yeah.
it's another thing where if you set your goals kind of small and you want to just kind of focusing on doubling your business, what you're really focusing on is the same things you've been doing all along and trying to just make incremental growth.
Mhm.
But the power of supercharging your goals or 10xing your goals, then it makes you one think differently. It'll motivate you again to try and get there. And most likely you're spending just about the same effort to double as you are as 10xing your kind of business.
Yeah.
But you're just much more motivated to do it.
Yeah.
So, and you're not spinning your wheels, you're just finding ways to get to those goals. And so,
That book was so good. I can't
yeah.
even tell you. I remember the first time I started listening to that when I was hiking. I almost always am hiking when I'm listening to the books, but I'm up on the mountain. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm like screenshotting all these. And then the next thing I knew, I get home from my hike and there's like all these screenshots of all the things. I got to go back and write this down. And I love their books. They're like super, super motivating for me. And I feel like one of the things I really love about their books also is they'll give the chapter and then they have that discussion point at the end of every single chapter. And so I think a lot of us too, as we're looking to our mentors or coaches or whomever we're working with in our life, we always think like they have it all figured out. And there's still normal humans too, right? And so they talk about like this is the principle, and we still fall into the same traps as everybody else. It's how are you handling it? And are you handling it also with a focus and emphasis on gratitude? Like sometimes that's one of the things that I actually learned to do through that, even though I've always been a focus on gratitude kind of person. But when life gets real challenging, a lot of times I'll just be like, okay, stop for a second, take a time out and just start writing down blessings. Because then it just really changes your mindset. You kind of can't be crabby if you're just thinking about all the cool thing that's happening in your life, even if it's not everything, you're not getting your way or you didn't get a job or whatever happens, like whatever it is, but it's still like focus on the gratitude and it just keeps you more present in the moment and just helps you realize like this is a journey. And that's what they kind of talk about. You're supposed to enjoy the journey. And I think a lot of us get really sucked into like the journey's hard. It's not always very easy, and we would have liked it to be a lot easier. So anyways, yeah, it's just something that we picked up that was specifically actually from that book, The Gap in the Gain, is like those gratitude lists and things like that. So yeah.
Yes, awesome. And I think, I don't know if it's the introduction to that book or if it's the Dr. Benjamin Hardy has a book that's just him with not Dan Sullivan, but
Mhm.
Be Your Future Self Now. So I
Yes.
can't remember which one has the intro where he's talking about the pursuit of happiness and how it's not happiness is chasing that absolute ideal and you'll never get there. And
Mhm.
it's really focusing on the pursuit. So exactly kind of what you were
Yeah.
saying. And
Yeah.
he said, America was founded on this principle of attaining some ideal that you're never going to get to because you're going to keep
Yeah.
moving the goalposts. You're going to keep doing that. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, we think we can both agree, basically, Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan, tops.
Yeah, no, I got into that this year, definitely a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I love
They
it so
said
much.
some good stuff too. I mean, you're listening to these books on hikes, right? Hikes,
Yeah.
hillsides, right? You're getting
Yes.
inspired there. That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. Like every time I'm up on the mountain, you just like I go early in the morning. Sometimes I do sunset hikes, but I prefer the early mornings. And then you're just sitting up there and you're kind of watching the sunrise or the sun will have just come up and it's just like everything is about I mean, that's really what life is about. We're creating experiences. We're creating it for ourselves. We're definitely gifting that to our clients and like understanding where do you live right now? What's working, what's not working, and what's going to be better about this next home? How can we just elevate your life for you and just take you on this whole new chapter that's going to be so different and so much better than what you have right now? It's awesome, you know? So, yeah.
Nice. And then you also touched on with the Buy Back Your Time book, the building the team, which is
Yeah.
another crucial factor for any successful project.
Yep.
Hillsides, any project, but Hillsides too, where there's a lot of specialization. Um, I can't do it by myself. You can't do it by yourself. A homeowner can't do it. A builder can't do it by themselves. Civil engineer, all these people need to be on together so that we can make something that does create one cohesive project where an owner's happy.
Absolutely. And I
Happy
think
with
part
that.
of it too is just each one of us is coming from a different perspective. But once we find that synergy together, which is such an important part of like creating that dream team from the beginning, is just creating magical synergy amongst all of us, clients included. And then you'll be able to call somebody and be like, hey, I just had this thought. Let's get this on the radar. And then it's even if it's not your job, it doesn't really matter. It's a successful item that's required for the project. It just keeps everything moving and everybody knows everybody has each other's backs. And that's one of the best ways I think to come together and create this, like I said, this dream team for the client so that we can give them just not only a great experience, but the deliverable in the end off the charts.
Exactly. When everyone's goals are aligned, that's how
Yeah,
you do it.
exactly. How are you finding your biggest inspiration as you're going into your projects? Obviously, you're meeting with the client, you get to go out and see this incredible scenery. Talk to me about where your inspiration comes from.
I mean, I guess the most general answer is there's a client who owns the land, who's commissioning the project,
Yeah.
and then there's a site that's telling you what you can and cannot do,
Mhm.
or what you should or should not be focused on. So if there's some sort of element of natural beauty and client wants something, we need to marry those two things together. And the second those two converge, that's when we're creating moments that are great.
Yeah.
So it's inspiration from both of those things. And from a mindset perspective, since we're talking a little bit about mindset, you talked about joy in the project. And one of my said goals, like for a personal mission statement, because I also read a bunch of Stephen R. Covey and he talks about that stuff, was one of my mantras is that I want to spread joy through architecture. So that's one of my said goals. So I think finding that happy, that greatness piece is really what I'm after. And that
I love
comes,
that.
especially on hillside projects, inspiration from the site,
Yeah.
inspiration from the client.
Yeah.
And that's how I do that.
I love that. One of my biggest ones that I live my life by is like, I am designing a life I don't need a vacation from. And that's actually kind of the approach I take mentally for my clients as well, very similar to what you're talking about, because what is it about our homes? I mean, this is our safe spot, right? We escape the world or we bring the world to us. It depends on what mood we're in and what's going on, what our personalities are, whatever. But, how can we design this space to just elevate our clients' life and basically make it so that every time they're home, they feel like they're on vacation or they feel just a little bit pampered or decadent or whatever. Not everybody wants or needs the same thing, which is quite honestly, I'm sure you are faced with the same thing. Every single client's wish list is totally different. There's going to be some similarities. We all want a view, we all want this, but how we live our life, what our priorities are, what's important to us, whatever, all of that is different. That's actually why we don't keep a library. We're not, no designer for me is allowed to even have a library because it's real easy to get complacent. It's real easy. You're in a hurry, you're busy with things, and you're like, oh, I got to jam this out. But no, 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 no. You got to go find something that is special that nobody's seen before. That way, every single one of our projects is not photographing the same. It's been interesting. We've heard feedback before, like, one of our clients we were courting at one point doing a custom, and they had said, well, I looked at your website and I didn't see a picture that I would like that looked exactly like my personality. And I was like, exactly, because we haven't designed for you yet. So once we get that opportunity, then of course we're curating everything specifically to them. And so I'm sure you do exactly the same thing. None of your projects are looking the same either, which I love that.
Yeah, no, it's true because we're getting the inspiration comes from client and site all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
and we're changing too. We're always evolving. So
Yeah.
our sensitivities change. And then it's a cool thing too, because sometimes you get clients and they're different from you as far as, tastes or different things like that. But they push us, right, to become more creative, to find out and find the magic in what they're looking for. So
Yeah. Well, in every vendor, I mean, we're having new product releases on the regular. The technology is changing like crazy. So it's actually pretty exhilarating for our team to just constantly keep our ears open and be tapping into our resources. Like, what are you seeing out in the market? What's going to change our lives? What's going to benefit our clients? All this cool stuff. Like, what can we do and how can we incorporate it? Just makes it really, really interesting all the time. So,
yes.
yes.
Michelle, this was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was an honor and I love working with you. I can't wait to do more epic things together. It's going to be great.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you.